My dear friends, I need you to listen closely to what I'm about to say. It may sound difficult to hear, but it comes from a place of love and honesty. The years ahead of you are precious. None of us knows exactly how many remain. It could be 20 years. It could be 10. It could be 5. What matters is that every day left in front of you is worth more than almost anything else you own. More valuable than money in the bank. More valuable than property. More valuable than all the possessions you've spent a lifetime gathering. Time is the greatest treasure you have now. And too many people spend that treasure on things that bring them no peace, no joy, and no meaning. I don't want that for you. I want these years to become some of the most beautiful years of your life. Not a quiet fading away, but a season of purpose, freedom, and deep appreciation for every sunrise you still get to witness. The first thing I want you to release is regret. I've lived long enough to know how heavy regret can become. I've sat beside women and men carrying decades of if only I had been braver, if only I had spoken up, if only I had spent more time with the people I loved, if only I had followed my heart. Every if only becomes another weight on the shoulders, and after a while those weights make life feel harder than it needs to be. But here's what age has taught me. Regret has no power to change yesterday. Not one mistake. Not one missed opportunity, not one word spoken in anger. The past cannot be rewritten. The only thing regret can do is steal today's peace, and today is all any of us truly possess. This moment, this breath, this chance to be alive. Years ago, my grandmother shared a lesson with me that stayed in my heart. She said, "A tree does not mourn every leaf it has lost. It keeps reaching toward the sun." At the time, I didn't fully understand. Now I do. Life keeps asking us to grow forward, not backward. The leaves that fell were part of the journey, but they are not the whole story. Don't spend your remaining years staring at old seasons. Lift your eyes toward the sunlight that still remains. The next thing I hope you'll stop doing is living according to other people's expectations. You would think that by this stage in life we'd all be free from that burden. Yet so many are not. They still worry about what relatives might say, what neighbors might think, how others might judge their choices. My question is simple. How much of your life have you already given away trying to earn approval? How many dreams stayed hidden because someone called them unrealistic? How many opinions remained unspoken because you feared criticism? How many times did you shrink yourself to make others comfortable? My dear friends, there comes a point when enough is enough. You have earned the right to live as yourself, not the version others prefer. Not the version that keeps everyone happy, the real you. I once knew a woman named Eleanor. For most of her life she was careful not to upset anyone, careful not to stand out, careful not to seem selfish. Then after her 70th birthday, something changed. She realized she had spent decades asking permission to be herself, so she stopped. She joined a community choir even though she couldn't carry a tune. She took painting classes despite never having held a brush before. She traveled alone for the first time in her life. She laughed louder, spoke more honestly, and worried far less about what others thought. One afternoon she told me, "I feel younger now than I did at 50. Not because her body was younger, because her spirit was finally free. That's what happens when you stop performing and start living. Now let me share the lesson that touches my heart more deeply than any other. Stop postponing happiness. I've seen too many people waiting for the perfect conditions before allowing themselves to enjoy life, waiting for their health to improve, waiting for more money, waiting for wily relationships to become easier, waiting for circumstances to line up exactly the way they want. But happiness rarely arrives as a reward for perfect conditions. In my experience, happiness begins the moment you decide to welcome it. It begins when you appreciate what is here instead of mourning what isn't. When you find beauty in an ordinary morning. When you laugh with an old friend. When you sit quietly in the evening and feel grateful for another day. Joy is not something waiting for you around the corner. It is something you choose to notice right where you are. And the sooner you understand that, the richer your life becomes. No matter your age, no matter your past, no matter how many years still lie ahead. My dear friends, there is something I learned many years ago that I want to pass on to you. Happiness is not something that arrives one day like a package at your front door. It is a choice you make each morning when your eyes open and a new day is placed gently in your hands. You can wake up and immediately count everything that is missing. You can think about the aches in your body, the people who are no longer beside you, the dreams that didn't unfold the way you hoped, the phone calls that never came, the plans that never happened. You can gather every disappointment and lay it out before you as evidence that life has treated you unfairly. And if you do, you will always find enough reasons to feel discouraged. Life provides plenty of them. But there is another path. You can open your eyes and notice what remains, the breath moving in and out of your lungs, the warmth of the blanket, the morning light touching the curtains, the simple blessing of standing up and taking another step, a cup of coffee, a bird singing outside the window, a memory that still brings a smile, a heart that has carried you through every challenge and still beats faithfully inside your chest. That is where gratitude begins, and gratitude changes everything. My own garden. Endy Mother taught me this lesson long before I was wise enough to understand it. Every morning before sunrise, she would step outside onto her porch. She would close her eyes, take a deep breath, and whisper the same words. Thank you for this day. Nothing more. No long prayer. No complicated ritual. Just those 4 simple words. Thank you for this day. She spoke them through years of hardship, through seasons of loss, through struggles that would have made many people bitter. Yet she never allowed suffering to rob her of appreciation. She understood something many people never learn. Gratitude is not a reward for an easy life. It is a practice that helps us survive a difficult one. The people who shine in their later years are not always the people who had the easiest journeys. Often they are the ones who learned how to find beauty even while carrying pain. Now I want to talk about another burden that steals peace from far too many hearts, holding on to people who have already gone. So, at times they leave through death. Sometimes they leave through distance. Sometimes they simply choose a different path. No matter the reason, loss is part of being human. Every one of us experiences it. And when someone leaves, the temptation is to spend years standing in the doorway waiting for their return, waiting for the call, waiting for the apology, waiting for things to become what they once were. But life cannot be lived while standing still. There comes a moment when we must release our grip, not with resentment, not with bitterness, with grace. We can wish people well without sacrificing our future to their absence. We can leave the door unlocked without spending our lives sitting beside it. And for those we have lost to death, I want you to hear me carefully. Loving someone does not require you to stop living after they are gone. Grief deserves respect. It deserves time. But eventually grief must become something you carry, not something that carries you. I once knew a gentleman, named Walter. He lost his wife after more than 4 decades of marriage. For a long time his world became very small. The same chair, the same routine, the same loneliness every day. Then one afternoon his young granddaughter asked him a question. She said, "Grandpa, do you think Grandma would want you to stay sad forever?" That question changed everything. Not overnight, but little by little, Walter began walking again, gardening again, talking to neighbors again. He never stopped missing his wife, but he stopped treating her memory as a reason to hide from life. Instead, he carried her love with him into every new day. And that made all the difference. Another woman I knew spent years trying to repair a broken relationship with a family member. Every week she reached out. Every week she hoped. Every week she was disappointed. Eventually she realized she had built her entire life around someone who was no longer participating in it. So she made a difficult decision. She stopped chasing. She started volunteering. She joined a reading group. She made new friends. She laughed again. And in rebuilding herself, she found peace. The lesson was simple. You cannot force someone to return. You cannot love another person into making choices they do not wish to make. All you can do is keep your heart open and continue living your own life. Now let me share what may be the most important lesson of all. Stop delaying joy. Stop treating happiness like something you will allow yourself later. Later is a dangerous word. Later becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And before you know it, years have disappeared. I once knew a couple who spent decades talking about taking a special trip together. Every year they said the same thing. When things settle down, when money is better, when life gets easier, there was always a reason to wait. Then illness arrived unexpectedly. Suddenly there was no guarantee of another year. Thankfully, they finally took the journey. And when they returned, they spoke about those few days as if they had discovered a treasure they had nearly missed. One evening, the wife looked at her husband and quietly asked, "Why did we wait so long?" Neither of them had an answer. Because the truth is, there rarely is a good reason. Life will never become perfectly convenient. There will always be responsibilities, always concerns, always unfinished tasks. If you wait for the perfect moment to enjoy life, you may wait forever. Eat the special meal. Take the trip. Call the friend. Watch the sunset. Learn the instrument. Plant the garden. Begin the project. Write the letter. Do the thing that keeps whispering to your heart. Not someday, soon, because the calendar does not make promises. The only day we truly hold is the one we are living right now. As I have grown older, I have come to believe that the richest people are not those who possess the most things. They are the people who collect the most meaningful moments. The laughed, are shared across a dinner table, the conversations that stretch late into the evening, the memories created with people we love. Those are the treasures that endure. Those are the things that give a life its depth. So if you have reached this season of life, don't think of it as leftover time. Think of it as sacred time. Time earned through decades of learning, struggling, loving, and growing. Use it wisely. Use it joyfully. And above all, use it fully. Because every sunrise is a gift, and every day is another chance to live the life that is still waiting for you.